Hello and welcome to another live video.
What you got over there? Bourbon? Whiskey?
No, this is rum.
Rum.
I think it might even be rum from our trip to Colorado. Did we, and by we I mean you, buy rum there?
Bought in Denver, yeah. The Breckenridge spiced rum.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like Christmas. I like it. It's one of the few things that brings me joy these days.
Today does not feel like Christmas. It's super hot outside and feels like summer.
Yeah. What else have you been doing today?
I did a photo shoot today that I think was a success.
Did you check your files?
I did, and I think I got the 3 shots that I needed. So
That's all that matters.
that's all that matters. So that's good.
Yeah, I started working on a self-portrait for a video thing that I should probably get out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not incredible.
It's your best work.
No, but it's something. It's something.
What is going on with our thumbnail? Are we appealing to the children today? Police violence equals cancel Paw Patrol.
I will probably change that. I honestly, I made the title for this 2 hours ago, and I hadn't really done any research yet on what had gone down today in the news. So I just thought, oh, this is something funny that we keep bringing up. But then I didn't really find much about it. There are still people calling for Paw Patrol to be canceled, but I read something that said Nickelodeon has recently extended their contract for another year or something. I don't know, since all this.
Have you watched this show?
I'm afraid I haven't.
No. So just because they can't just retire the police officer, they have to cancel the whole show.
Yeah.
Cancel. That's our culture these days.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
The other thing that's been going on is a buddy of mine, Bowden, who's been showing up in every few nights, and he does super chats and stuff. Yesterday we mentioned the MAGA hat wearing kid and the Native American drum playing man.
Right.
And I just mentioned in the video yesterday that, I'm pretty sure that everybody got it completely wrong and the kid literally did nothing but stand there, and that's why he won a defamation lawsuit against CNN. Well, Brian did not like this.
Brian wasn't happy about it?
No.
Old news?
Yeah, he was outraged that I would take the side of this horrific racist child. So when we finished filming yesterday, he had sent me 4 texts about this.
Yeah.
And so I start reading some of the links that he sent me and everything, and I thought, you know what, before I do anything, I just need to go and watch the footage for myself.
Okay.
And I think the New York Times has a really good non-biased video which just shows multiple camera angles, what happens, who does what, when it happens, how long it lasts. And basically this kid, in my opinion, does absolutely nothing wrong. There's different groups of races of people doing different things, and it's all the races of people are doing racist things, and this kid with the MAGA hat literally just stands there with a grin on his face because this man approached him playing the drum. So I send my buddy this video, and we continue arguing. It's the last text I send last night before I fall asleep. It's some argument. I wake up, more text from him.
Yeah.
He's saying stuff that I've never even heard or seen before. He's like, the boy purposefully stepped in front of the Native American. The Native American was trying to get somewhere, and the boy stepped in front of him. And I'm like, wow, I totally missed that in the video. Let me watch it again. So I watched the video again. The boy does not move. He's just standing there. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. So I screen record it and send it to Brian. And I'm like, where does the kid move his feet? And Brian's like, oh yeah, I haven't watched the video.
He didn't watch the video?
I swear to you, he sent me 10 to 15 text messages saying how could you, Lee? I can't believe you would take a side. and he didn't watch the video.
I mean, I know him too, so I don't know what should say or not say, but I mean, it's really frustrating when people make these arguments and they haven't watched the footage to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I watch stuff too much, and I'm like, did you notice? I mean, you said with the George Floyd that he said, "I can't breathe," before the police ever even apprehended him or
Yeah.
at least got him on the ground. That video, that one's hard to watch, but in many cases, like
Well, there's another one. Did you see this new "I Can't Breathe" video that came out? The Black Lives Matter petitioned or something to get some police agency to release this killing that happened in 2019.
Yeah.
Cops get called. They say there's this guy in the parking lot. He's got a gun. He's been pulling it on people. Cops tell him to like get on the ground. He starts running. They chase after him, pin him on the ground, and are putting his hands behind his back. And I have not seen the uncut footage, but this is what I believe happened. They put him in handcuffs. He says, "I can't breathe." The cops say, "I don't care." But from what I can tell and what I've seen, it doesn't look like the guy, like they're cutting off his. They don't have him in chokehold. They don't have a knee on him. They have nothing.
Yeah.
He goes unconscious, and I'm like, oh man, he dies again. Paramedics come. He wakes up and starts fighting with the paramedics, and then he dies on the way to the hospital. So he was not asphyxiated by the police like everyone said he was.
So what's the point? Like this video came out and it exonerated the police, or it
There's
shows
still a
another...
debate. There's still a debate because he says, "I can't breathe," and the cop says, "I don't care."
I mean, are we going to see a lot of people just like
Yes.
saying, "I can't breathe"
Yes.
as soon as they get pulled over?
Yes, we are. Steve Robertson says, "Oh look, he's got the
Nope.
money bags."
Look at that.
Patrick, will you let Lee give you a mohawk or shave your head for $500? It can be within 3 months after your wedding. Wow.
For $500? I don't know. We'll have to see. That's interesting with the 3 months after your wedding.
Absolutely. I
The
mean, that was
problem
your
is,
only
like,
excuse.
We have to get back to making videos. And am I going to be in a mohawk in so many
So
videos?
you're just a mohawk for like a day.
I mean, I kind of want to have a mohawk for longer than a day.
Well,
But
that's your prerogative.
I'll have an answer for you tomorrow. Let me sleep on it.
Okay.
The problem is that for my wedding, I'm going to have a normal haircut, and then I have to like do the mohawk after that. That would be easier for me, but I think it would be way cooler to have the mohawk when my hair is crazy long, like to have a real mohawk. So if I do it after the wedding when my hair is just short, it's just going to look stupid, right?
I mean, it's going to look stupid no matter what.
I don't know. I've never shaved my head, so I have no idea what's going on up here.
I mean,
What if I have some kind of barcode tattoo and I never knew it?
that would be
That'd
interesting.
be kind of crazy.
Yeah. All right. There was another police killing last night in Atlanta.
Yep, this is never going to end.
Yeah.
What do you think's happening? I don't know. Maybe we should just play the video. But I guess what I was going to ask is, what do you think's happening when they keep occurring and everyone's aware of it? Is it because all the cops are super racist and they don't care? Is it because they're acting in a reactionary way that like is
Do you know the
hard
details
to...
of this?
No.
I read just a little bit about it, but I don't know if this guy had a weapon on him. I mean, I saw him
What I
fight
heard,
the police.
and
And
I
punch
have
the-
a bunch of video clips. They show a bunch of different angles. Warning, you are about to see the whole incident go down. And then I have some news stories about it, but I don't know that they specifically get into what happened. I heard early this morning that last night somebody called in and said there's a guy sleeping in a Wendy's parking lot.
Yeah.
Now, what happens from there, or if that's even true, I don't know. But
Well,
the thing
I've
is with
heard-
Wendy's was there's so many cars in the drive-thru that this all happens in front of a ton of people.
Oh, is that who was recording? Like
Yeah.
a Wendy's patron?
Yep.
Wow. All right. I mean, we can play the video. I don't know how much I can speak on this because I don't know the details. All I know is like just a little bit of a news story that I've read. There's really not that much online about this yet. I didn't see
People in the comments are already saying this one's justified and blah 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 blah. Like,
the killing is justified.
I don't know. We should probably play these videos
let's
before
play
we
the
get
video.
too far into it.
Should we go full screen?
Sure.
Wendy's drive-through for no fucking reason. For no fucking reason. Shot him. I saw y'all talking to him for 20 minutes, dude. Unarmed, non-violent, nothing wrong with how he conducted himself whatsoever. And you pull a fucking gun, dude? Wow.
So wait a minute. What is going on right now?
This is the reaction. So this is one video that's going viral that's from somebody there at Wendy's showing the reaction of somebody who watched it go down.
Okay.
I think there's just a few more seconds of this one.
Okay.
Wow. I feel like both of your careers are definitely done because you just shot a man for no reason. This pig and these two. Yeah, suspects hit by your bullet, dude, for no reason. Jumbling with the fucking glove, you fucking clown.
Now, I don't know that any shooting was justified, but I mean, it's not no reason. Like, this guy was punching the police officers in the face, right?
Maybe you go to the next video. I mean, people on the scene say that they saw what happened and it wasn't justified.
Well, I agree. If somebody punches you in the face and then starts to run away, I don't think you have the right to shoot them in the back. Is that what happens?
Basically, yes. So here is the next video. This is the police camera, or this is the surveillance camera at the Wendy's. And so you can see all these people in line waiting to get food, and this shootout just happens. I have it play one more time.
That guy, he looked like he had something in his hand and he points it back, like he's got his phone or something, like that.
There's something that clearly comes out of it, like a spray or something.
It seemed like, let's watch it one more time.
And I can't tell who shoots who here. The two guys running seem to have the same thing in their hand. Is it a taser? I think that's the narrative, is that he stole one of the police officers' taser.
Okay, yeah. I mean, gosh, it's just, none of this has to happen. All of this was like a drunk guy was just sleeping in his car. The cops asked him to do a sobriety test. He failed the sobriety test. And
somebody in here is
started
saying
fighting.
that he was sleeping in the car because he was waiting to pick his buddy up who was on the night shift at Wendy's.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you heard that there's a sobriety test and all this other stuff that goes on?
I have heard that. Obviously, who knows if anything I know.
I mean, that's
is
the
true.
problem. Like, I don't feel like, and people might be upset with me when I say this, I don't feel like I can come up with a conclusion at all one way or another, because I just heard about it this morning. And like I just said earlier, I like to watch all the videos and have all the evidence and know the backstories. I feel like I'm just watching videos and reacting here. So I don't know that I can say he deserves it or doesn't deserve it, because there's so much that these videos don't show and there's so much more to the story. But this next video, I think, shows another angle once again.
Okay, so the guy, he's got the taser. The dude grabs the taser right there.
Oh shit. Damn.
And he's swinging.
Fuck. Oh. I got it.
Why did
Hey,
you?
bro, we got kids.
Why did you play these videos literally in reverse? Why didn't we start with that one? And
I
then
thought it'd
show
be
the
more
second?
interesting to like come to the conclusion in a backwards way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
that one, the guy is like he's definitely resisting arrest.
yeah.
He is grabbing the guy's weapon. Now, it's not a gun, but it is a taser.
Yeah.
And then he starts swinging at the police. So, I don't know. You're always saying if you just don't resist and just act cordial and listen to the police, this stuff won't happen. when I see this kind of video, it makes me think like, yeah, of course. Like, what is this guy doing? My mind always goes to, and maybe this is, my mind always goes to, there's something else going on. He has a record, or he knows that he's in the wrong.
I would think.
Like, people don't act that way when there's nothing to worry about. Black, white, no matter what color you are, if you have an arrest warrant or you have a bunch of tickets or there's something else going on, you owe alimony to your wife or your child support you haven't paid, no matter what color you are, that's when you act like that, you know? There's something else that's making you think, this is the end. Like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I don't quite understand why the guy did all of that.
Foot Talk Mike says police claims he stole the stun gun and pointed it back at cops. Yeah, I mean, that definitely seems to be what happened. And Steve says the cop was fired. The police chief resigned to facilitate change in the department. I certainly wouldn't want to be the police chief right now. I mean, there's no way that anyone will be happy with anything you do as the police chief in Atlanta right now.
Maybe that's the right thing to do. You resign and you say, you know what, I'm going to get another job in another police department where things are more low-key. Because if you do come out and say this was justified, or we're going to fire these police officers and bring charges against them, either side of the coin, maybe your job for the rest of your life is done, you know? Like, maybe all the other police jurisdictions in Georgia are like, we're not taking you because you did this or you did that, you know? If you just resign right off the bat, it kind of gives you a way out to let things cool down. And
did he die?
I think he died.
Okay.
I read this morning that he was in critical care, and then as the day went on, I just heard that he died. So I don't really know what happened there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see any other information that comes out. You know, I do want to kind of withhold judgment until I know a little bit more, but, you know, when you punch the police and steal their weapon, I don't really know how else it can go.
So the next stories, well, this is now the news article. You could probably play this one.
And right now at 6, the chief of the Atlanta Police Department.
She's got some fabulous hair going on.
Yeah, she's got a big forehead.
She looks like she's from the future.
Is out less than 24 hours after a deadly police shooting. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms has accepted the resignation of Chief Erica Shields. It comes less than 24 hours after a deadly police shooting in southwest Atlanta. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Hullinger.
And I'm Faith Abu.
Is her name a booby?
She was about to say it.
Bube, a police officer
Abube.
shot
You gotta
and
go
killed
back. What'd she
27-year-old
say?
I
Rayshard
think she
Brooks
said
outside of a
Abube.
Police shooting in southwest Atlanta. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Hullinger.
And I'm Faith Abube. A police officer shot and killed 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks outside of a Wendy's on University Avenue in southwest Atlanta. It happened last night around 10:30 p.m. Witnesses in the drive-thru recorded the shooting. You're taking a look at one of the videos there, and so far thousands of people are sharing the videos online, including high-profile Metro Atlanta attorney Gerald Griggs. One of the police officers shot Brooks after a struggle with the officers. Brooks got a hold of the taser and started running before that shooting. Mayor Bottoms says she reviewed that footage and then announced her decision this afternoon.
Chief Shields has...
So I have her announcement here next, but I saw a lot of tweets going on. I think, who is the Abrams, which was like the woman that was running for governor or Senate House in Georgia and lost. A lot of people were thinking she would be Biden's presidential candidate. She tweeted something like, "A taser is not a lethal weapon. There is no reason for him to point the taser to a police officer and you respond with gunshots." And I thought that does seem like a valid argument. People in the comments here saying, you steal the cop's taser and suddenly you tase him, and then next step is you get his gun, and who knows who you start shooting in the parking lot. Like, there's people everywhere, you know? It's like, do not go after the police at all. But I see that video and I'm like, the guy's already running away. He's probably outside the distance of shooting you with a taser. I mean, he's just pointing it back. I don't know.
They shoot the prongs.
I know, but how accurate is it if you're 20 feet away or 15 feet away and I'm running and I just point back like.
I mean, it looked like he fired it, didn't it?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not like heat seeking. It's not gonna like find you. There's probably a good chance that. And then do tasers? I should know this, but do tasers have multiple cartridges that can keep firing out?
I think they might, but I think you might have to load it.
Okay.
So I don't think it can
So
fire
once
more
he's
than
fired
once.
and it's missed,
Yeah.
it's like he's completely now.
That's a fair point. Yeah, and you know, it makes you think like, what if you just let the guy run away and then you
You have his car, you have his tag.
yeah,
you know
who he is, and then you come after him later. But then is he waiting in his house with a gun at that point? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what standard protocol is. I'm sure there has to be some law or policy in place for this sort of thing. You know,
Why can't, I mean, officers are trained to shoot. Why can't you just shoot the guy's feet?
I
Shoot
think
his
it's
leg.
illegal to do that.
Really?
I think there is something, somebody in the comments let me know. I think shooting to maim is not allowed.
You have to shoot to kill?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
It's like
I think I've read that.
If you were going to pull a trigger,
Yeah,
you better
you have
be
to kill them.
It's got to
Yes.
be. That kind of makes sense because maybe you're only supposed to shoot if your life is in immediate danger, which I could argue here, his life, neither, I mean, especially it appears from that video that it's a cop further back that shoots because the other cop is also holding and running with a taser in his right hand, unless he's ambidextrous and he's shooting guns and tasers with both hands. It seems like he got shot from a police officer that's further back.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem quite as clear cut, but it does also feel like it was excessive force in this situation to shoot the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is a tough one. But you know, if you shoot a taser at someone while you're running away with those prongs, like what if they hit the cop in the face with the metal spikes? You know, it's just like it's not the same as a stun gun like little brrr thing. Like it's literally shooting barbs out.
Well, and you know, a couple days ago, I was talking about the hostage situation we had as a kid. Who's to say that this guy's now a fugitive and he's running, that he's not going to like jump into somebody's car, which then causes a whole other concern. I mean, at some point, the police do have the responsibility to protect the rest of the public. You know, if it was an empty parking lot and no one was around, I think it would be even worse.
Yeah.
There was no reason to shoot that man. But with all those people there, it kind of feels like maybe this guy, maybe we don't know what they know either. Maybe he was wanted, like I said earlier, for something else. But do you feel like this is going to get the traction of the other ones, or this one's going to just kind of be swept under the rug? And
I don't know.
There's too much video, and it's not quite as
Yeah,
polarizing.
I mean, who is the hands up, don't shoot guy? Forget his name.
Gardner, was that him?
I can't remember. But you know, that blew up into some huge thing, and that was like a black officer who said he was fighting me in my own car and reaching for my gun, and I shot him like in my car, and that, you know, became huge. Maybe with that we didn't have video footage, so people just assumed a bunch of stuff. I don't know. Jesse says, if the guy was really drunk in the car, then maybe a good argument for better police training, handling inebriated suspects, trying to understand both sides. Yeah, me too. I mean,
But you could be drunk in your car. I think you just can't have. Is it something like you can't have the keys in the ignition?
We were just talking about this.
arguing about this. Were you saying like
yeah.
the keys can't even be within reach?
I don't even think you can be in the driver's seat, I think.
And that's a lot of different. We've compartmentalized this a lot. Like, what is the real answer? I thought you
somebody
just
let me know
couldn't have your car running and the keys could not be in the ignition. Because it's kind of ridiculous if you're drunk and you don't want to drive, you can't sit in your car.
But it's also, if that's true, then you should be able to have the keys in the ignition to have AC on or something, you know? Maybe you shouldn't be in the driver's seat, but you could have the car running.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. James says, the police chief of Portland resigned last week because police used smoke canisters on rioters. I maybe heard that. I don't know. Jebba says, tasers can be lethal. That's why they're labeled as less than lethal, not non-lethal. Also, there are major arteries in the legs bleeding out quickly if you shoot somebody in the leg, I guess. Photog Mike says, trained to shoot to kill is easier to hit center mass than a calf. Yeah, but I actually thought I saw something where they said police are not allowed to shoot to maim. They are not allowed to shoot people in the legs. They must try lethal shots with like each trigger pull. And I don't remember what the reason was. Maybe it was because every cop could then make the argument that like I was just trying to maim him, but I missed and shot him in his heart or something.
So it eliminates that
maybe
argument.
I don't know.
Thunderbird is making people mad because he's saying cops shouldn't have guns at all.
I mean, who would want to be a cop in America when everybody's got a gun except the police?
Talked to my parents today. I forgot to ask my dad if he would take the test, antiviral, the vaccine. We were just on the other night about
the test
vaccines.
or the like the early testing of the man.
We were talking about Moderna, and we were saying
Yeah.
they're going to give half the people a placebo, and
Yeah.
they're going to give the other people the vaccine they've been working on.
Yeah, vaccine.
And then they would see if they, what percentage of the population got sick out of those groups. And I think, like, I don't think my parents would definitely not take coronavirus on just to save people.
Yeah, but would they take a trial vaccine?
Right. And then I forgot to ask them that.
Yeah, I mean, especially your parents who live in a small town. Coronavirus probably isn't that big of a deal there.
I don't know. They have one of their friends who's a dentist was on that cruise ship that was outside of Peru.
Yeah.
And they all got coronavirus. And like the wife said, it was the worst sickness I've ever had in my life. And now I'm starting to get friends from home that are, like I said yesterday, I think, they're starting to get coronavirus in Montgomery. People that have moved to Montgomery. I know people now, like friends of friends' wives, like it's pretty close.
It's wild. I was watching, I've been watching lots of theme park vloggers and stuff, like people who specialize in this. And this one woman that I've watched before, she does this whole video on why she's considering not doing her July Disney trip. She doesn't actually live in Orlando. And she goes through all these reasons, and basically all the stuff that she loves about Disney is not going to be open or available, and you got to wear a mask, and it's going to be hot, and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the video, she's like, and I really don't want to go into this, but my husband currently has coronavirus right now, and she's pretty old. Like, she's probably in her 50s. And she's like, so, he's quarantined in his own room, and I have to live in this room, and so there's a chance that I'm going to get it. And he's going to be recovering from the virus when we're supposed to be going to Disney World. And then she just kind of like brushes over the fact that her husband hasn't. She's like, he's fine. It's not a big deal. But, and we've definitely talked to a lot of people now, and we've seen it on the news where it's not a big deal for a while until it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And then your Photog Mike in the hospital. You want to watch this Dave Chappelle clip?
Yeah, so I watched this last night. I didn't really know what I was getting into. At first I thought it was 8 minutes, 42 seconds. And I was like, this will be the shortest little PSA. But that's the title of it. And I
watched it today as well.
It's a 30-minute thing. I was like, man, this production looks really bad. Like, he's not standing in front of anything nice, and then the microphone has this weird echo. But I don't know what to make of it. I haven't talked to you about it yet, but I have a clip from it. I just tried to pick something small, but.
So the other night, I'm in my little clubhouse, and I'm watching Don Lemon, that hotbed of reality. He says, where are all these celebrities? Why aren't you talking? This nigga said everybody. I was screaming at the TV, I dare you to say me, nigga. I dare you. Has anyone ever listened to me do comedy? Have I not ever said anything about these things before?
So it's not really a comedy special. There's
No.
a few moments like there where he says "Cha Rule," but it's not really funny. It doesn't really deliver like a normal special.
No, but I did like it. I feel like he made some good points, and I felt like he was fair, and just talked about how watching the video of George Floyd's death was so difficult for him. Like, he sees himself down there, and so I feel like it's certainly worth watching. It's free on YouTube, so you can watch it, but it's not funny.
No, but I think, and he talks about this at the very beginning, the idea of him speaking is because people trust him, and then I think he twists it and says, I trust the people, But I think that is why hearing from people like him, like I find that with myself, like I could read all these articles and hear all these people's opinions, but for some weird kind of sick reason, if I hear Dave Chappelle say it, like my ears perk up a little bit more, maybe. I don't know why that happens. Like, why should I care what this one guy that I've watched comedy specials says? But it does make a difference,
Did you see him live with me in Charleston?
No, I don't think I've ever seen Dave Chappelle.
It was good.
Yeah?
A little more funny than that.
I like Dave Chappelle. He's one of my favorite guys.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite comedians for sure. Yaya says, this is my first time catching you guys live. I just wanted to thank you for doing this. I usually watch you when I work designing graphics and product labels. Awesome. Well, thanks for the super chat. Hopefully you enjoy the live show. Photog Mike says, poison tip arrows to the butt. Okay, per Bill Murray.
What movie is it where Bill Murray shoots the arrows?
Don't know.
My favorite Bill Murray clip is from The Little Shop of Horrors. I just like seeing. I grew up. My dad's a dentist, and so I'd always grow up watching the scene where Bill Murray and who's the banjo playing guy?
I don't know. I never liked that
white-haired
movie.
guy. Come on, it's like right there. Drawing a blank. Steve Martin. They have the dental scene. It's classic. Bill Murray's just there taking all the injections, acting like it's not a big deal, give it more, He's the opposite of you in the dental chair.
Yeah.
You're like a nightmare. And Bill Murray's in the dental chair being like, I love it. You're my favorite guy ever. Drill on me. Give me more.
No. I hate the dentist so much. I only have 3 clips here.
Yeah.
So 3 more and then we're done. Today's going to be a relatively short one. China. Getting a little outbreak. China.
Video of Chinese military police entering Beijing's Fengtai district has been circulating on social media. A new cluster of cases discovered here on Friday has triggered what the government is calling a wartime footing to contain the outbreak. Dozens of locally transmitted cases are linked to Xinfadi wholesale market, the biggest in the capital.
Fengtai district has immediately launched a wartime-like mechanism and set up a field headquarters to manage the Xinfadi wholesale market and the surrounding communities. We are putting people's safety and health first.
The area has been sealed off and is being disinfected. Thousands are being tested. Those who have visited the market in the past 2 weeks have been asked to report to authorities. 11 local neighborhoods have been locked down, with residents told they cannot leave their compound. For people in Beijing, the new infections are a stark reminder that months of pandemic are far from over.
So they are once again going scorched earth because it's something like 50 cases. It's a very low number of cases, but they are locking people down.
This is Beijing, right?
Beijing.
Because in Wuhan, they had tested everybody, and they found 300 cases that were inactive, people that were asymptomatic.
Okay.
I believe that means 0 symptomatic people. They
Wow.
tested like 9 or 10 million people, as we saw a few days ago.
It's wild.
A few weeks ago. I can't keep days and weeks straight.
With us talking about potentially flying out of here and going back to the States, I was talking to Katie last night, maybe about going to Charleston for a week or something. I was like, we should go somewhere and get tested. And I don't want to just get tested to know if I have it right now. I want the test that tells me if I have it now or tells me if I have the antibodies, right? Like, it would be interesting if all of us had that test done. And it's very frustrating. You Google like where to get tested and stuff, and there's just not that much information. In Charleston, I did find a location where it said drive-through testing, but I don't think it's an antibody test.
It's just a swab that tells you if you currently
have it, which isn't that useful, especially if you just get off of an airplane.
Yeah.
It might take days, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if you just go to urgent care and you pay money and they'll do the test. I'm not sure how it works, but I'm going to keep looking into that.
If we separated, you could just do what you've always wanted to do and just get the virus, see how you fare, get over the virus, and then that would be 1/2 less of us in this house that would be capable of getting and sharing the virus.
That's true. Yeah, I don't want to infect myself with the virus, but what I've always said. You were talking about
going to New York recently. You're like, I'm kind of like a month in. You're like, I'm ready to just go to New York. And then the next day there were coronavirus parties, and you were like, that's what I'm talking about.
What I said was, if I knew that I was going to get it eventually, I would rather go ahead and get it over with now. That's the question, though, is like, there's no way of knowing if you're actually going to get it or not.
Yeah.
How long is this going to last? Is this, I mean, it's really not, maybe in some states it's a slight little ramp up, but it's not the second wave yet.
And I think we had videos where people were saying the second wave isn't because we opened back up. The second wave has something to do with the virus naturally kind of running out, and then time goes by, and then it suddenly kicks back up, or there's a season change, or there's a lapse of time. It's not the second wave is because man intervened and we stopped the transmission, and now we open back up and a second wave comes. That's not traditionally what a second wave is at all.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading an article today, I think Kristen sent me, and it was just saying something like, well, no, Kristen sent me something else. This article was about the virus in Wuhan, and maybe even in Italy. They're starting to find that it is way more deadly now, and that over time it has been changing into a more deadly form, but maybe it's in a community of people that have already gotten the virus, and therefore it's not been able to break out yet, you know.
So it's getting more deadly in Wuhan, but less deadly in Italy?
I think both those cities, there was cases where the spike protein was more activated and more deadly. And we've thought that too. There's been theories that maybe Wuhan had a virus that was less deadly, but Italy somehow got a virus that was more deadly, and that's why Italy's death rates are so high. You want to go to the numbers and calculate up what Italy's death rate is now? Because weren't they at like 10% a month ago or so? Is that number quickly coming down? Because in America, we're speculating that the mortality rate is like 0.2% or 0.5%, right? And that the idea is that it's less than 1%.
I mean, that's what some people are speculating. What do you want me to look at, Italy?
Yeah, if we just do, what would we do? The deaths divided by the cases? So 34,000 divided by total cases?
236,000.
And then you times that by 100 to get the percentage? Is that right? That's 14%. The number went up.
That could be right.
So Italy's death rate is 14% today?
Are we doing that math right, guys?
The number of deaths divided by the total number of cases, and then you multiply that by 100 to get the percentage. I got 14%. I mean, you can go back and we could look at the United States and see what theirs is. There's something else I wanted to look here with the numbers that I just remembered somebody mentioned a couple days ago. So the United States has how many deaths?
117,000.
Yep, and then how many total cases?
2.1 million.
That is 5.4% death rate.
So Italy's at a 14% death. I mean, it just goes to show it's a testing. It's not.
And then, are they not testing people that definitely had it? How does that work? If you had coronavirus, but you got over it, and you just stopped testing people, shouldn't Italy be testing their entire population like Wuhan and these other places?
I mean, it's got to be easier said than done. I was just looking earlier today at Puerto Rico. Look at this number here. Go full screen on there for me. So you can sort by tests per 1 million population. And like if we go to the top here, Rhode Island has done 180,000 tests per 1 million population.
So they've done like almost 20%.
Okay, so look at Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has done 3,000. Look at the next worst state. Idaho is the worst of the 50 states at 35,000 tests per 1 million population. Puerto Rico's at 3,800.
So we've tested 3% of the population, almost 4%.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost non-existent. So when you look at this number of cases here, that is not accurate in any way. But is the death number of 146 accurate?
That might not be accurate either.
What do you think, that'd be higher or lower?
I don't know. I mean, so many places are saying the death numbers are higher because you get paid extra money if it's a COVID death, and we're marking people that had COVID but died of, like, weren't people saying, like, if you got run over by a car and you came in and tested positive? All these weird things. We've seen some corrections on charts where thousands of people are, it's like negative for that day.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the Puerto Rico number is underestimated or overestimated. Check out this. Go back to countries. Somebody pointed this out the other day. This is wild. Look at Brazil. Brazil's the second.
Click on it.
No, you can look at it here. Brazil is the second most affected country in the world. Look at their total cases.
850,000.
Now look at their total tests.
Total tests per 1 million?
Total tests. 1.4 million. Look how many cases they have. They almost have, I mean, maybe a couple days ago it was even crazier. It was like 70% of the tests in Brazil are coming back as positive. Look at any other number of any other country. I mean, look just below it. Russia, 5,000. They have 14 million tests. India, 321,000 cases, 5 million tests. What is going on in Brazil?
Look at this number. The test per 1 million is just horrific compared to any other country. This is currently ranked by number of cases in the world. I mean, it really does seem like Brazil has it the worst right now. What are their... Okay, so do you know what the population of Brazil is?
No, I mean, I could look it up
real quick. Oh, it actually says right here. U.S. is 330 million. Brazil is 212 million. So you have to expect Brazil is going to pass
the United States,
the U.S. eventually.
I mean, they have been saying how bad their president is handling it, but I keep trying to make the argument, if you do, what is it, deaths per 1 million population, that the United States, it's bad, but there's many countries that are doing worse than we are, deaths per million.
Yeah.
Countries that have a lot of people, but the United States is still weird because it spans an entire continent, you know? In some ways, we're probably more like Brazil. Brazil's huge. Than we are like the Netherlands or like Germany or like Spain.
Poison tip arrows from Caddyshack. Leonard says, you shoot to stop the threat. Don't know exactly what that's in reference to.
Police shoot their weapon to stop the threat, not to
not
slow
to
it
maim
down
the threat,
or maim it or warn the threat.
So Zach J says, when is Lee goldening?
It's a good question.
And I really should have done more today to try to get it. I assumed the only potential place to get the gold foil might be like a Marshall's or something, which is closed.
Marshall's just reopened.
Not Marshall's, Michael's.
Michael's.
Do we even have Michael's? Like, we got to have some sort of...
Well, I found what you need and I ordered it.
Oh, you did?
I got it on eBay because eBay's faster than here.
That's debatable.
And it's coming from, I think, Miami or Washington, D.C., so somewhere fairly close.
Okay.
So I think it should be here next week, maybe like Wednesday, Thursday.
Well,
so it will happen. You'll have to be nicely shaved, and you're going to get rid of the beard too. You're going to do the whole face, right?
Why not?
The whole face.
And what is this? This is a foil?
Yeah.
So we're just going to put water and then just stick it, and I'm going to become a golden man?
Yeah.
Okay. Why not?
It should be interesting.
Why not?
You'll know. We'll make it very obvious that night is the goldening.
Sam Smith says Quest Diagnostics does antibody testing now for $100. I'll have to Google that. Thank you. Hammond says 3:12 a.m. in Stockholm. Longtime follower. I've watched every episode. First time live. Keep up the good work. Hope you guys visit Sweden soon. Thank you very much. I would love to visit Sweden soon. I haven't heard much about Sweden in the last few weeks. Have you? The last I heard was, some websites were saying their leader has admitted that what they did was a mistake, but that's not really what he said. But other than that, I haven't heard anything.
I mean, Sweden's up there. They're above us.
Yeah.
More cases per million.
Per million, yeah. Photog Mike says, does that mean they like a Does that mean they like a Brazilian cases? Oh, like a bazillion cases.
Wow.
We don't need.
When I hear
dad
Brazilian,
jokes.
I go a different round. But bazillion.
Here's some bad news for teachers.
As virtual school lets out for summer vacation, many teachers are bracing for another challenging hurdle, the very real possibility of losing their jobs. States hard hit by coronavirus are now facing school budget cuts, and nearly 800,000 teachers have lost their jobs in just 2 months.
Teachers are essential workers.
Your turn, ready, out.
Massachusetts music teacher Chris Lee Rodriguez got a pink slip last week.
Do you think there's been enough done to protect teachers?
No. And I feel like the people who are suffering the most in this situation are young people.
A bit of good news, Lee Rodriguez got rehired on Friday after a last-minute budget change, but others may not be so lucky. To date, public schools nationwide have received $13.5 billion in aid from the CARES Act. But educators and parents alike say it isn't enough to save teachers, so moms and dads are petitioning online to protect school budgets.
So that's potentially bad news for your fiance and her mother.
Do you think it's more common with music teachers? That seems very difficult to try to teach. I mean, we can't get rid of teachers. I felt like when this all started that teachers were the ones most immune to this. So many of Kristen and her family have been teaching English online to people in China. And when COVID hit there, they canceled everything and they were all teaching jobs are over with. But then as we got hit, I started thinking could this be the greatest job? Because everyone's going to have to tutor and be taught online at home, and they can't go to schools. Maybe if you speak English and you want to teach other countries English, there would be such a huge need for that.
I mean, I agree with that. I think online teaching is definitely going to see a spike, but have you heard about the school in our neighborhood, the situation that's going on here?
The academy?
Yeah.
No.
So we live in a very large neighborhood here, and it's got its own private school in the neighborhood. And to be safe, especially for the younger kids, I'm not exactly sure what age, but elementary school or something, they have all these rules already in place for next semester.
Okay.
And it's half the kids are going to come in the morning and half the kids are going to come in the afternoon to try to limit the number of kids per classroom.
Okay.
Kids are not allowed to play outside anymore together. They're not allowed to have meals in the lunchroom together. They have to eat at their desk with food supplied by their parents, maybe. I don't know. But we have a lot of friends here with kids, and all of them said they were not re-enrolling their kids because they said, for their young kids, they don't really even care about the education as much as they just want the social aspects of it. They want the kids to be able to play. They want them to be able to hang out with their friends. And they're not going to do that.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of homeschoolers here anyway, but now everyone is a homeschooler. And I could see that happening in the States too. Especially
I was talking to Kristen about this a month or two ago about the idea of 6 feet and how many chairs and desks can you fit in a classroom if everyone has to be... I think I looked it up and it was something if you have a class of 30 kids normally, it's going to be 8 kids, 8 desks before you run out of space. And I'm why even bother with this? Can't we come up with a way? I guess I guess if you're stuck at home working and now your kids are stuck at home working, it's going to be very difficult to teach kids and, you know, they're in your hair and you guys are driving each other crazy and everything. But I just feel like online education is going to be the way that it goes, you know. I feel like it could be done better. It's difficult right now and people are pulling their hair out trying to figure out how to do it. But I think that's going to be one of the biggest changes that we have. And it's probably going to affect the colleges more immediately. You're going to start realizing, like, why am I spending $80,000 for an education when there might be a $25,000 option just doing it online?
Did you know Katie is taking an online class now?
No.
Somebody told her that some university is giving a free gardening class.
Okay.
And that's like her favorite thing. So she is taking a college level gardening class.
Will she get a credit or something? Is there like
she will get a gardener's certificate at the end of the class.
Well, that seems worthless.
Of course. But she's actually interested in becoming better.
If you were actually trying to get a bachelor's degree or something, would that count? Or
I think it would count as something.
Yeah.
But
it's like
she's not
underwater
doing it.
Polo, it's like gardening. You took the gardening class while the okay, that's cute.
Yeah. Let's see.
Before I forget, I do have 2 links in this video, in this description that we should talk about.
Zachna says, can we call him Lee 3PO? That's pretty clever.
Yeah. You can call him whatever you want.
For the featured image for when we do this, we should try to do a face swap with me and C3PO.
Yeah.
And see if we can make me look like I'm on his body. Jay Miller, please refer to Patrick as King Midas during the Golden Boy stream. I think I can do that. Photog Mike says, we defund education, but won't defund the police. Photog Mike, are you for defunding the police? Are you one of these crazy people who doesn't want police officers? Cartfart says, at University of CT this semester, I have a quarantine for 2 weeks on campus while being tested before normal classes start. After Thanksgiving, we have online school. Seems so flawed to me. Do you understand what that means?
Yeah. I don't know why it seems flawed. At the University of Connecticut this semester, we have to quarantine for 2 weeks on campus while being tested before normal classes start. Okay, before classes start, you're going to be quarantined. But then after Thanksgiving, after you have a break, they're just not, I guess because after Thanksgiving, there's not 14 days before the end of the semester. So once everyone goes home for Thanksgiving, we're just going to wrap up the end and do finals. Seems so flawed to me. I mean, it seems reasonable to me. I don't know. I'm still not sure that schools are going to be back. I mean, if we start seeing it tick back up, and if a real second wave comes, especially come August, September, boom, next semester is not going to be happening.
Got one more video. This is kind of the state.
You've described this coronavirus as your worst nightmare, your words. Cases are now on the rise in 19 states. Big picture, has the United States stalled in the fight against coronavirus?
I'm not so sure we can say it's stalled, but what we're seeing right now is something obviously that's disturbing. We all do want to reopen the country for a number of important reasons, but we've got to do that in a way that's careful and prudent. And there are certain fundamental basic things that we just heard from one of the previous guests, that even when you do proceed according to guidelines, you've got to be careful to make sure that to the extent possible you physically distance yourself and you wear a mask literally at all times that you're on the outside and in a situation where you might be at risk either of acquiring infection or giving infection to someone else if you're one of those asymptomatic carriers. We've got to be very careful of that, Wolf. We don't want to see a resurgence of infections.
Yeah, we certainly don't. Utah and Oregon, as you know, Dr. Fauci, are pausing their reopening processes. Should more states, do you think, reconsider the reopening that they're going through right now?
You know, what I recommend, and it's very consistent, what we've recommended all along, Wolf, is that you take a look at the carefully contrived guidelines of reopening. You have to have a situation where you have, a gateway into the process and then gradually go from one phase to the other. If you leapfrog over different phases, you increase the risk that you're going to have the kind of resurgences that we're seeing in certain of the states.
What you looking up there?
There's a video I meant to put in here 2 days ago. I can't find it.
Well, Fauci is saying here, you know, you got to follow the CDC guidelines, which I thought said we needed 2 weeks of consistent dropping in COVID cases. I thought that's what it said. I could be wrong. That was a long time ago that came out. And the other thing that he's suggesting is like people should be wearing masks all the time.
I just went and picked up food again today at the plaza. Nobody has masks. It's like I start to feel like the weird guy again. Like, you know, I remember making fun of people in Miami. I was like, oh, dude, there's people with masks. They're kind of the weirdos, you know.
But like really before all this really started.
Yeah, it was like back in early March. I flew back to Puerto Rico, and I remember being like, man, there's like 5% of people in the airport have masks. Now it's 5% of people around here have masks. I went up to the restaurant, C-Bar. There was a couple eating inside. There was one other guy inside. No one else was in the entire restaurant. I got my takeout. Plaza's packed. Like, there's nowhere to park a golf cart. I was expecting, you know, they have like security up there.
Is it some holiday going on right now? I mean, it does seem pretty
I don't know, the beach
popular
was
here.
busy, but you go out more than I do, so I don't know if the
Well,
beach.
I always know it's pretty popular here when the police shut down the road
Yeah.
by our house because they don't want visitors like exploring, you know. So I always assume that something is going on that I don't know about when I see the
Do
cops.
they block other streets, or is it just this part of the neighborhood?
I think it's this part of the neighborhood because almost all the other parts of the neighborhood
Are double
have,
gated?
Yeah, they have their own gates.
Yeah.
We just don't have gates beyond this point.
Yeah. But yeah, we went to the beach today, and I was like, man, there are so many people here.
Yeah, the funny thing is that it did feel like there were a lot of people there today at the beach, but it really wasn't that many people at all. And we have a really bad seaweed problem here in the summer. It's called sargassum, and it overtakes our beaches here at times. And the sargassum was pretty bad today. And so everyone was packed in this one little area where there wasn't seaweed. So when you really look at how big our whole beach was, how many people do you think were on our largest beach?
Oh, there was like 200 or 300 people,
Yeah.
but it could have held, you know,
hundreds of thousands of people.
yeah, so it's not that many people, but they were all clustered up together.
Yeah.
There was a few things that were trending this morning on your favorite platform, the Twitters.
The Twitters.
And I put them, 2 links in the description of this. And one of the links, I saw, one of the keywords that was trending was it rocket launcher or grenade launcher? And I was like, well, what is this? And I click on it, and there's an article that you could read if you're interested. And it's basically saying that a school in Los Angeles has agreed to turn over their tanks and their rocket launchers, but they will not give up their semi-automatic rifles. And everyone was saying, why in the world do schools have tanks and rocket launchers? This is insanity.
What
Like,
the
why does an LA school have armored vehicles? And I saw this and I was like, why do they have this? This is crazy. And I think, reading the article, it was early this morning, I think the National Guard or somebody, you could probably find it right at the top, has extra equipment that they try to get rid of because it's like dated or something, and so they donate it to these schools. I don't know if they're being used. Like, look at this, mine-resistant, ambush-protected armored vehicles. Like, why do schools have this? I don't know, but this is the sort of stuff that people are upset with. And it says here at the bottom, school police departments have increased their presence and force in recent years, particularly after the 2012 massacre in Newtown, Connecticut, that horrible school shooting, Sandy Hook.
But read the line above that. More than $5 billion in surplus military equipment has been distributed to law enforcement agencies nationwide, including school police, since 1997. What the heck? You know, the other day, maybe it was yesterday, we played that clip of AOC talking about how, you know, we don't want to abolish the police. We want to defund the police because they don't need tanks. And why does our military have so much money that they have extra tanks that they need to give away? And we were kind of laughing at her.
Yeah.
But this certainly points to there being some truth to this. I had no idea.
And this, I mean, this may just be an isolated incident.
Well, I know. I mean,
but it does
no
say
school I've been to had anything like this, obviously.
But the other thing is, and this is why I'm kind of anti-big government, it's because when you give the Defense Department a budget and you say you have, I don't know, $4 trillion to spend this year, every department is going to find a way to spend that money.
Yep.
And it sounds like they spent, what was it, $5 billion they've given away over like 20 years?
Since 1997, yeah.
So, it sounds like a lot of money. Maybe it's not that much money over 25 years or whatever, but
I just want to know.
It just goes to show that our government is going to buy these vehicles because they have to hit a budget, because if they don't spend all the money, then next year, the responsible thing to do would say, we're going to cut your budget a little bit because we obviously allocated more money to you than you need, which is a good thing. But nobody wants the budget cut, so they're going to spend everything. And then what do? They donate these things to schools, which doesn't make sense either. But
here's my question. How much does it cost to maintain this vehicle? When you are a school and you have, let's read what this is again, LA Unified's Police Department. Okay, so this is the police department. This is not the school.
No,
it's a little misleading. But it received a mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicle like the one through the federal program. Like, who works on this? When something breaks on this, who do you call and how much does that part cost? The other night when we were talking about that guy in Dorado that we met with the golden cars,
yeah.
And one of his cars was a golden tank, literally a bulletproof tank that had a smoke screen.
I looked up the
strips.
Instagram, and it's like the smoke's coming out, and it just fills up the whole frame. And I'm like, I don't know that would work that well driving down the highway.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting somewhere in a parking lot, I mean, you definitely can smoke up.
But my question is, like, he was telling us, he bought it new, and he said it literally breaks every week. His engine just blew up in it, and he said it's going to be a $20,000 repair, and it's new.
Yeah.
How much does a used mine-resistant vehicle cost?
I can't imagine.
That's ridiculous. All right.
And then the last article that I have here was this story a day or two ago about Fox News publishing a digitally altered image of the Seattle riots. I don't know if F-Stoppers has featured this, but they probably should because it's photo related. But if you click
here,
yeah, click this. You can go through the three pictures. So here's the original image. This is a guy standing in the middle of the street, and I believe this is the original image from Getty. But if you go to the next image, this is an image that Fox News published saying Black community activists clash with Seattle anarchists over Black Lives Matter message. That actually makes a little sense because the headline kind of goes with this, but they almost need like a bar going through the image showing the two. What they did was they cut the guy out on the left and they placed him as if he's standing in front of this building. If you go to the next one, you see the same guy now patrolling you're now entering the
I don't
Capitol Hill.
I don't like news doing Photoshop work on images. That seems really weird. Why would they do that?
Well, it's Fox News. I mean, the reality is all of these news channels.
I'm not going to jump on board with it's Fox News. They always Photoshop their images. I don't think that's true.
Well, we were talking about this months ago with the coronavirus, where you would see articles and stories, videos of hospitals are overflowing with patients. And then it would show Houston, but they would be using a video clip from Sweden or from Italy. And it's like they're using a real video, but the video is from a previous time. The video is from a different location. It doesn't completely represent the truth,
Yeah, I don't like that either.
You'd see the same video clips over and over, but that's kind of the world we live in with stock photography and stock videography. Now, going and cutting it up and making it its own composite seems like a really awful thing.
So what I'm looking for right now, and I didn't really look for it today, but somebody on Facebook posted 2 pictures, and it was of a black guy holding an assault rifle, probably, you know, at in Seattle or something. Is that where it's going on?
Yeah.
Where they've, okay. It was something like that. And this Facebook post said, CNN has changed the color of this black guy's skin to look white to make it seem like it's the white rednecks with the guns showing up at the protests again. And it showed the before and after. But I could never find the source for that, and so I didn't want to share it. So I've been trying to Google it right now.
Maybe go to Twitter.
I can't find anything here. You think Twitter might have it?
I mean, there's a lot of little memes and videos and stuff that people chop up so quickly on Twitter that I can find stuff on Twitter that I can't find everywhere else. See what comments. Everyone's saying faux news, faux noise, brace for the deep fakes. I mean, we were talking about that just not too long ago, how the deep fakes are going to completely change the world, you know, how scary that is. Patrick for president, I'm not going to do that. Nothing gets past Patrick.
Are you just reading comments that are
I'm just
good for
reading
you?
comments, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, which makes me think that this post on Facebook was fake, and I'm glad I didn't share it.
Nobody's been talking about this, and I don't, again, want to undermine the cause, but there's been a narrative in the last 4 years in America that China and Russia have been meddling in our elections, and that some go as far as saying that that's the reason Trump got elected. Others are just saying, just like the United States meddles in other people's elections, they are trying to hurt the United States so that we become weaker, so that they can rise to power, but they can also influence our elections so that the political leaders that get voted into American politics will benefit them down the road, right? Is there any reason not to believe that Russian agents are instigating these kind of race wars that we're having? I mean, there's racial tension, there's police tension. Nothing is going to make the United States more unstable than kind of the road we're going down.
But what is their goal?
Their goal is to cause us to have civil unrest I mean, we talked several days ago, and we've been listening to podcasts off the air about the U.S. dollar falling from the world centralized currency.
Yeah.
You know, the dollar falling, and like the weaker the dollar could, perhaps China could take its place, and if the world feels like it's safer to invest in Chinese dollars, then maybe they start selling gold, oil and everything in Chinese dollars.
But the narrative before was that Russia wanted Trump to win, so they bought money, ad money, and convinced.
Yeah, I don't know how that narrative would be, because it would seem like Russia would still want Trump to win.
Right.
But I could see where China, don't act like China's probably influencing our elections even more than Russia, right? I mean, China's as equal or greater of a power than Russia. And I would imagine that China is like, we see what the United States is going to do to us as a repercussion for the coronavirus. If they are at fault or not, they feel like sanctions and war, Cold War is coming. Look what Trump's been doing with the trade wars. Like, China has to feel like we got to get Trump out of office, right? I don't think anything that that Trump has done in the United States has been beneficial to China. I don't believe. And so I could see where China is saying, you know what? Like, we also may want to annex and pull in to bring in Hong Kong, and we don't want the West looking at the stuff we're doing in Hong Kong. It's like the best possible thing for the United States right now is for them to kind of go into a civil war, civil unrest, and they all know there's this thread of racism that they can pull at any given moment. And that is more powerful than anything we've dealt with collusion with Russia and the president and P-tapes and all this craziness that they've gone after. And so I just wonder, maybe this is all organic and this has just come out of the horrible things that we've seen with the police. But at what point, especially with an election cycle, at what point do you start seeing money and operatives and narratives and people being paid? We're talking about paid protesters. At what point do outside governments start to say, you know what? We have to keep this going. We have to cause America to be in disarray right before this election so that even if Trump were to win again, there's going to be uprisings and everything afterwards. If Trump doesn't win, maybe that's the best thing for us.
I don't know. I mean, usually I don't even waste what little brain power I have thinking about things like this, because it's just like, it's just this crazy hypothetical. But
I don't think it's I think it's happening. It's got to be happening.
I do have to say, you know, my argument always when people said the only reason Trump became elected was because Russia bought Facebook ads. And I'm like, how is that, first of all, how's that really meddling in our election? That's just buying ads. I mean, is that illegal? And are people that gullible that they just vote for people because they see an ad? However, I find myself becoming more and more outraged when I see this stuff about, like, we have to cancel the Paw Police or whatever they're called. Paw Patrol. We have to cancel Paw Patrol. We have to chop down the Washington Monument.
Which nobody said that yet. I predict that's coming, but nobody's said anything about the Washington Monument yet. Maybe there's talk of renaming it. Has that even been said yet?
It's coming. I mean, you know, we just yesterday played the video of the two girls saying that everything related to George Washington should be in books, but we can't have statues of him anymore. When I start hearing this stuff, it definitely makes me want to dig my heels in and not listen anymore and not negotiate anymore. And so, if there was one thing that some other country wanted to do to make me, you know, a little more of an asshole and a little, like, less caring of other people, start mass tweeting out all the crazy stuff that we've been hearing about, you know, that I'm kind of even drawing a blank right now. But, you know, that cartoons are racist, or that anyone in history who has ever had a past that could in any way be, you know, point towards racism, we have to, like, erase them from history.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff that I'm just like, okay. I was willing to listen. We've had incredible injustices that I think we should fix, but this has nothing to do with any of that. And it's kind of like the looting stuff. You know, when I see the protests, I'm like, wow, like, look at all these people who believe in this cause. This is great. We're really getting somewhere. And then I see people throwing bricks at police, and I'm not interested in listening to those people anymore. But who's putting the bricks there, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 5G towers could be this sort of thing, right? If they're like, Americans are dumb and they will believe this, and we can cause people to, like, take this seriously.
That's another good example.
Maybe that's all made up from operatives elsewhere, foreign agents.
When I hear people that have opinions on certain things, and I want to have a conversation or a debate with someone, and then they tell me that 5G towers are causing coronavirus, I don't care what they have to say about other issues anymore. You know, it's the same thing. It's like, if you have something to say about racism, but you're looting a surf shop and stealing surfboards out of it, I don't really care what you have to say anymore. Like, you're not a honorable person anymore. So, I don't know, I'm just trying
We just hear a lot of people, the big common one is that George Soros is throwing all this money in and stuff. And I don't know how much truth there is to that. Part of me feels like there could be some truth, but then there's also a lot of it's made up. You know, I don't think it's completely false. Like, he's probably done things in the past. Maybe he's doing things now, but I think there's probably a seed of truth there. But if we can go to him, shouldn't we be going to the largest powers in the world and saying they are doing it? I mean, if Russia wanted to get rid of Trump, I don't know that they do, but couldn't they just have some guy who's like a KKK member or some, you know, super divisive guy go in and just do mass shooting on protesters and just pay for that one guy? It would be so, if you picked the right guy, it would be very hard to ever say that was an operative from Russia. You would just say, like, oh, he has ties to hate groups. This asshole came out, and then everyone would get inflamed even more. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It is frustrating to think that we could potentially be so easily swayed.
I think we're all like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that book I read was all about this stuff. Is we would go into Africa and we would just flat out assassinate this guy, and we would get out before anyone knew it was us. Nobody even knew who the specific people were. It's like Men in Black, and then let them start all the theories of like, this was this group that was they did this a month ago. It's them. We can identify their face, and all of a sudden it's like America has started a civil war. I was trying to look up information about what happened to those guys in Venezuela. Remember we had
What did happen with that?
You try looking it up online, and there's like no follow-up. It all just goes 4 weeks ago, and I was back to 4 weeks ago.
That is creepy.
And I'm like, these guys were all connected to this group in Florida, and they seem to be, trained by our military, and they go over there, and I don't know if they've been released. If anyone has information on this, I would like to start following up on some of these crazy stories that we heard in the last couple months. But somebody had an interesting comment that was like, maybe China and Russia both want Trump to win the presidency again because they know how much damage he will do in the long run. Like, China's hurting really bad financially. And if Trump was to win another 4 years, I feel like this is going to be bad for them. Maybe their view is just, we could wait this out. Like 8 years under him would not be the worst thing, but maybe what 8 years would do to the United States would be so bad that it would actually be.
I wish I had more of an understanding on exactly what Trump has done and how much has Trump really hurt China. Because if we have the best economy ever, which we did, people are buying more stuff from China than ever before, I would have assumed.
Yeah, but they started doing all these tariffs and everything. So
yeah, but that's on us.
I know, but like some of these podcasts we've listened to, eventually the companies, Apple doesn't like saying, hey, we're going to pass on these tariffs to the consumers, which means the iPad has to go up another $100, $150. Like, that doesn't look good for them, even if they're not taking the hit. And eventually what happens? Companies start saying like, all right, we can move out of China and get around the tariffs. There comes a point when you're like, maybe we should do that. And so now it's like, if the next logic is we should get out of China, period, because these wars are starting, these cold wars are starting, and China can't produce, and they're lying about their numbers, and their factories aren't back open. Maybe we should just move our factory and go to Bangladesh or go to Mexico. And if those things happen, those are real hits on China's economy.
Photog Mike says, when Fox News photoshopped this guy into 2 different pics, it was meant to fit their narrative, as they are totally against this and want the protest to end. Yeah, I don't know. I would honestly be interested to know exactly how that happened. And is that real? Like the CNN one that I saw. The CNN one that somebody posted was a black guy holding a gun. His skin had been lightened to make it look like a white guy holding a gun. And they were like, aha, look, they don't want it to show a black guy holding the gun. And now the exact same thing is happening on Fox News. This could be fake as well.
You can go down this rabbit hole here, though, too, and say it could have been some intern who just photoshopped the image and it got past an editor and like it slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, but it slipped through 2 cracks. That just seems really, really bad that they did that.
Yeah. Well, with the color of the skin change, maybe that. I mean, it could also be malicious. Somebody's like, I want to hurt CNN.
All I'm saying is I would like proof of both of these accusations, because both of these are very easy to manipulate. Some kid on Reddit could do it in 2 seconds.
Be like, that's the other scary thing about all this misinformation.
Yeah.
Is we could just say, did you guys see this article that was posted on Fox News yesterday? It was only up for a few minutes, but I screen captured it. It could be totally false.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was, but it could be. Like, we're in that world now where you can just put something out, people start tweeting it, and next thing you know, it was never really a news story that was real to begin with.
Absolutely. Don't waste Lee's golden head. Maybe an artistic portrait shoot right afterwards. That's not a bad idea. We could have a little photo shoot station set up. Yeah. So you make me Lee 3PO, and then we...
And then what would we do with it? You just get a crazy looking avatar?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, should we wrap up? Are we done?
I'm done.
Guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, go to fstoppers.com. There's some photo content there, I think. We will see you tomorrow.